What is happening, good folks? How you guys doing? Everybody good? Everybody good? Everybody chilling? Back in good old Los Angeles and just hanging, having a good time. Hope you guys are all well. Everybody's healthy, happy, and all that kind of good stuff. I lost something around here, and it's driving me crazy. You ever go on a trip and then you come back and you knew something was here or there, wherever you are, and then you're like, where's that thing? So it's a pedal that I was supposed to make a video of, and I can't find it. It's driving me crazy this morning. I'm like a little preoccupied with it, to be honest. But yeah, cool new pedal, and I was ready to make a video of it when I came home. Now I don't know what I did with it, and it's just like racking my brain. It's driving me a little bit crazy. Anyway, I've got a lot of videos to make of things here because I've been gone. I've been slacking off from the YouTube, and now it's time. Lots of new preamp, kind of ampy preamp, or even amp in a box kind of pedals around. Here's one that came out recently that I'll give some props to. It's not a guitar pedal, it's a bass pedal. These guys, Dark Glass, they're monsters in the bass market, you know, and I like a good bass sound, that's for sure. So this one is a programmable, you know, you can store a few presets in it, and it's got IRs and stuff built in. That's this new one, and that is the Micro Tubes Infinity, and it sounds just awesome. Amazing bass sounds with that. This guy's been out for quite a while. I actually tracked some bass through this on the last video demo I did before I left, and I think it was the one I did for the this brings us to this, which is the pedal I mispronounced. So it's Halcyon. Am I saying that right? I said it wrong in the video. The Origin Effects, sort of a TS-808 style, but that has some improvements in it. Anyways, the bass was cut with this guy in that video. And yeah, both these pedals, fantastic. All these pedals I just showed you, fantastic. Fantastic. This one is really cool, actually. I think this might end up on my board. My only reservation with putting it on my board is it is a little bit heavy, but that doesn't really matter because my board is already heavy. So like most Origin pedals, it's got some heft to it. The box is, you know, brushed aluminum, I guess. Is that what it's made out of? And it's, you know, it's a serious piece of kit, as they would say in the UK. But a really great pedal. The deal with this pedal is that it's got this adaptive mode where when you roll the guitar volume down, it supposedly brings in more bass into the sound. You know, with a tube screamer, how they lop off so much bass, which is part of the appeal when you're playing loud, gainy, and, you know, with your guitar up high. But then when you roll down the volume, say go to the neck pickup, you might not want to have all that bass lopped off and have a thin sound. So it sounds fuller with less input signal. It's quite cool. In practice, it works really well for like cleaner sounds, but with the tube screamer vibe. Gilberto says, what's the best overdriver pedal? Well, there's no best. That having said that, you know, but what's the best for you? I'll ask you, what kind of sound do you want? And I can recommend different classes. This one's great for a screamer because you can put the switches in position that gets you basically vintage 808. But then you can get some enhanced modes that, you know, go beyond. So really quite great sounding to my ears. There's a super chat there from Plexico. He says, welcome back, the Origin Effects. Halcyon. See, I was going to say Halcyon. Halcyon was stellar. Much like Wolfie at the Hawkins tribute. He was great, wasn't he? Great demo. Need to pick one up now. Yeah, really good pedal. How do I feel about the Wampler Moxie? I don't know that pedal, actually. Yeah, don't know that one. Classic rock, says Gilberto. Well, so you want an overdrive that it sounds like you maybe you don't want an overdrive, maybe you want a Marshall in the box distortion. Is that what you want? You want a kind of AC/DC guitar sound, or everything from that to Van Halen to Free or something, those bands, that sort of stuff. Or, you know, classic rock could mean, yeah, it just depends. You know, if you want a good Marshall in a box, God, man, the Sir Riot kicked my butt the other day at the last week when I was in, geez, is that only That's crazy. That was only a week ago. That feels like 3 weeks ago to me. But when I did the last one of these, I guess it was when I was in. That feels like a long time ago to me now. Did all that? Wow. I guess I went back to France and had a few days there and stuff, and then made it all the way back here and did some stuff. And that was only a week ago. It feels like so long ago that I did the Guitar Summit Sunday Live. But anyways, yeah, time's been crazy lately. I'm still getting turned around too. Like I'm super jet lagged. I woke up today at like 4:50 in the morning. I've been up ever since. So, yeah. Both you guys are saying, Greg here and Simon saying amps in the zone AC30. What is going on with my mouse? Highlight the damn comment. Thank you. Amps in the zone AC30. I'm not the only asker, and my mouse sucks right now. Simon says amp in the zone soon. Okay, let's do it finally. Let's do it a good AC30 one. I've got some good candidates around here. I'll make that happen. I've got a lot of videos to make, demo videos and stuff for different companies, but I'm excited to do another amps in the zone, and the AC30 is a no-brainer, and I've got the candidates here to do it. So we're going to do it. I'll bring it in here and I'll play it really loud in here. Turn it up, just mic it in the room, combo style, one mic. I love the sound that I got in the Bear M160 video I made. That ribbon mic sounds amazing on an AC30, just one mic. So I'll do that. I'll just put that one mic on it and we'll mic it up, get a great sound. We'll try a couple different ones. Also, boutique variants I have here. We can listen to my top hat maybe the divided by 13 I have here that's like an AC30 and see how they stack up and just make a kind of an AC30 centric video. It's time. Yeah, this is all stuff that I'm going to do now that I'm home. So I'm home for the rest of the year, really. I've got big plans to record a bunch of video demos and stuff and make some amps in the zone and all that, but also I want to record some music, and so I need to get on that. And at least an EP, if not a whole record. What else? Any updates on the PT50? Not really. Other than we're talking about things and working on it. But will you be demoing the Duke of Tone? That might be what is happening with it? I can't click on comments with my mouse right now. It's acting so strange. Is it stuff on it or something? Sometimes, the mouse gets a little weird. Maybe that's it. Yeah, I think there's stuff on the bottom. It's kind of screwing up. Either that or my desk I spilled some coffee on my desk and now it dried there and I need to wipe it up. It says this is too much information. You don't need to know this. Will you be demoing the Duke of Tone? That's the pedal I can't find. Funny. Yeah, I forgot. It's been announced, so I can say it. Yeah, they sent me one and I can't track it down. It's driving me insane. It's here somewhere. It's here in the building, so I have to try and find it. But if not, I don't know what I'll do. They'll be mad at me and they'll send me another one. They'll yell at me. But yeah, I love the original King of Tone, the yellow side, the low gain side. And so when they made this pedal, I was like, yeah, I totally want to make it, because I know it's the Duke of Tone is supposed to be like isn't it a mini Prince of Tone? Which is basically this is going to be the same thing as a Prince of Tone, I think, basically. And that's the yellow side of the King of Tone, which is awesome. My favorite thing about that pedal was that sound. So, yeah, so I've been looking forward to it, and I wanted to dive into it, get it done here. One way or another, it's going to happen. I'll get it done within, I believe the day you can actually buy that pedal is the 1st, and that's the day I'm going to put out a video for it. So there, I've told you my whole plan regarding that. You know everything. You know as much as I do. How did the Seymour Duncan Power Amp and Quad Cortex stack up on your recent trip? How does it compare to the Matrix? Is there a difference between the Class AB Matrix and the Class D Seymour Duncan? So yes, I would say there is a difference. I love the Matrix sound. It's very guitar amp sounding. And a digital power amp always does have this certain, maybe you know what I'm talking about, like a certain thing that they sound like to me. With that said, they do a really good job, and it's kind of hard to argue with the form factor and how small they are, because I could throw it in my carry-on suitcase and carry it to the gig. I took a small carry-on bag, like not even like a carry-on, not even expanded it, and I had 7 days of socks and underwear, 5 t-shirts, you know, a couple pairs of jeans, whatever, for 3 weeks. That's all I had. I took very little for the hoodie. You know, I had one pair of shoes, packed super light, checked my guitar, carried on the little carry-on bag, which also had the Seymour Duncan power amp in it. And then I had my Quad Cortex in my backpack with my computer. And that's how I flew and did this whole last trip. Nothing got lost. Everything showed up on time. And my guitar, you know, would be the only thing that could get lost because I was carrying everything else. But that never happened. I took, you know, flights to 4 different places. So London, Malta to Paris, Paris home. Nothing got lost. Everything was cool. And I could travel with it all. I took the train from Paris to Guitar Summit in Germany. And was able to, you know, backpack, guitar in one hand, carry on suitcase in the other hand, get on the train, TGV to, or the ICE train, the Intercity Express train to Mannheim, which was only 3 hours. It was great. Went to the show, did that. I could carry everything. It was awesome. So it totally worked. So that's what I like about the Seymour Duncan, was that it works there. The Matrix wouldn't have fit in my suitcase. But there is something about the sound of the Matrix. You know, I wish that you could get a 1-channel Matrix, just a mono one, or that style of power amp that sounded like that, just a 1-channel that's as powerful as, you know, because my Matrix is 3-channel. The 2-channel is quite big, you know. I mean, they make a 1-rack space version, obviously, a GT800, GT1000. The GT1500 is the one I had that's 3-channel, but it blew something wrong with the power supply on it or something, so it doesn't work. But so I borrowed Steve Stevens, which was a big 2-rack space version. For the Five for Fighting tour. Very good sound. But yeah, they're just a little bigger. We're asking for a lot. I mean, a really small power amp that, you know, sounds as good as that. I mean, I don't know if it's a thing or not. But anyways, Class D does have this there's always a little bit of a sound to it, you know. It's very immediate and kind of hard. Does that make sense? How do you guys feel about it? Discuss. Tell me how you feel about it. The sound. Yeah. Okay, what else we got here? What else are we talking about? Let's see. Do you consider the Friedman BE an amp in a box that can be run into a power amp? No, I don't actually. I mean, you can, but that's not really, it's an overdrive. So it's not designed to be a full guitar preamp. You know, with a like it does overdrive, you know. I don't consider it to be like, because how are you going to get a clean sound with it? If you turn it off, then you've got no preamp, right? So it's a great sounding drive pedal, but it's not a preamp that you can run into a power amp and get to me, a super realistic guitar amp like feel. It'll sound okay, but only for drive. And you know, it's literally like, you know, you could take the BE overdrive and run it into the clean channel on an amp and plug it into a cabinet, or you could take the BE overdrive and run it into the power amp return of the same amp and then into a cabinet. You're going to find it was meant to be run in front of the amp. I know certain people, I know Ola does it sometimes. They'll run into the power amp and, you know, and it's a sound, but you're bypassing that entire, you know, fun preamp in the amplifier that gives it. Preamp is sort of where the tone is shaped and stuff. I mean, the tube stages and gets gained up and stuff, and then EQ and it gets shaped and all that stuff, you know. So to me, it's not the same thing if you just take the pedal and run it right into a power amp. Ryan says, love the song with John. Can't afford to bid, but would if I could. Thanks, Ryan. So you guys might have seen yesterday I put up a video for a guitar auction for a very special guitar. And all proceeds, I'm going to be very specific about this, all the proceeds from this auction will go to a non-government organization called Save Our Allies. And Save Our Allies is a group that was formed. I'm going to take the politics out of this. It's not political. Save Our Allies was formed when the Afghanistan pullout happened. And then there was apparently still vulnerable people there of all different sort of shapes, sizes, from different, you know, genres of life, walks of life, that needed help. So we're talking about humanitarian aid here. We're talking about getting people to safety. We're talking about putting clothes on people's backs. We're talking about literally escorting people out of, war zones and in harm's way to a place where they're safe. Kids, women, children. In Afghanistan, for example, interpreters, people that were, could be targeted, by the Taliban, groups like that. And so they literally, these were guys that were like, it's a lot of veterans and ex-military and stuff that literally, spent their savings, put their own lives on the line to go over there and do things that they knew how to do in order to help people. Medics, to provide medicine, to provide medical care. So I met these people when I was on the road with Five for Fighting, because John Andrazik from Five for Fighting is quite active with them. I met the founder of the organization, who is the wife of a very badly wounded Afghanistan war veteran. And she was a very nice lady. And she started this organization, put all these people together, and they literally go over there and help people. So I was moved by this. It's not political. I mean, they literally helped. This is the fact of the matter. They helped get 12,000 people out of there on airplanes and to safety. So they're experts in extraction and helping people get the hell out, and also obviously medics and stuff like that. So I got really, I was just so impressed with these people. What a great thing. It's helping people. That's all it is. And it's a non-government thing. You're putting funds into the hands of people that are spending their own funds to go do these things, that have skills. It's a great org. So look up Save Our Allies. And no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on and all that, it's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with people with their hearts in the right place. So that's where the money's going. Save Our Allies is actually running the auction, and I'm basically just giving them the guitar. It's their guitar now. So the guitar in question is a Washburn that was made for me by the Washburn Custom Shop in about 2007 or 2008. And I took it on the road with Chris Cornell, and it's a really beautiful guitar, actually. It's mahogany sides and back, very comfortable neck, rings like crazy. It's got really nice scallop binding on it. It's a USA-made custom shop acoustic. And the preamp that they put in it is in old LR bags that supposedly James Taylor really favored, like all the way back in the 70s. So maybe the original LR bags kind of high-end system or something, and it always sounded great. It's actually got an on-off switch on it that you have to remember to turn off, or it'll drain the battery in about a day if you don't turn it off. So that's the only thing about it. But man, does it sound good. The preamp, and it's one of the best sounding plugged in acoustic sounds that I've ever been able to get. So it's a really, really good sounding guitar. So long story short, I started using it on tour with Chris Cornell, and I would use it on a few songs like Sun Shower and on Seasons and on different songs. And then he started to really, really like it. And so then he started using it in his acoustic set. Actually, he would play usually when I was on tour with him, he would usually do 4 or 5 songs a night himself, solo on acoustic guitar. And he loved the sound of it. And he was having trouble with, some other guitars that he had on the tour. And I said, you can use this if you want. And he started using it because this guitar sounds awesome. And so he played it on tour as well. So you've got a guitar here that's, dear to me, really great sounding guitar and all that. But it's also, there's some provenance there, with him having used it on tour. There's photographs of him using the guitar and all that. And it was my guitar, it wasn't his guitar, but I lent it to him because we were buddies. And I know he would be really happy, about the cause and whatnot. It's just helping people. It's helping out children and women and people that need food and clothing and shelter and all that kind of stuff because they're in harm's way. So that's where the cash is going. And I hope somebody gets a great guitar that I've had it for long enough. I'm ready to send it on its way and do some good with it. Arthur, 12,000 people. They literally, like, through sewers and stuff. I met these guys. They came to a show, one of the last shows that we did on tour, and they were just really, really something else. They're veterans, and they're heroes. They're putting their lives on the line to go do good things for people. And they know how to. It's medics and veterans and folks like that. John literally sent me yesterday because I got a lot of stupid comments on some of the videos and stuff where people are like, I don't even want to get into it, but it's just like people, it's so funny, but we all know this about the internet. People will have knee-jerk reactions about things and they won't do their due diligence and research. And they'll assume you're saying something when you're not, and it's just kind of crazy. So really, really, really silly. I'm going to find a photo that I want to show you here of where the kind of things that that this money is going to. Here's one of the ambulances that they bought to literally. So this is in Ukraine. You know, they've literally bought and equipped a full ambulance so that they could go out on their own and, like, you know, help people. So that's a Save Our Allies vehicle that they. And John's like, I saw the ambulance, you know, and I saw all this stuff with my own eyes. I was there. He was there. John was in Kyiv not that long ago. So, you know, that's the kind of thing where that's where the proceeds are going to, you know, literally, you know, volunteer group buying their own ambulances to go and pull people out of harm's way. And Ben Tom says, my dad used to do Doctors Without Borders. They're like a much bigger version of, you know, they're obviously a really well-known organization that goes and, you know, helps people out all over the world. So it's good stuff. Anyways, what else we got? Let's see. Class D, no squishy. Yeah, that's what I hear with Class D as well. Kind of flat and no squishy. Very fast. Kind of, it's got a little bit of a hard sound. And if you EQ it right, and if you're using a good preamp, works well. To be honest, so having said that about it, the sound that I got at the show, luckily the rental cab that was there on stage was a really nice Randall. Speaking of Randall and Washburn, they were affiliated back in the day, like same company. But Randall 412s I've always liked, actually, like the ones made for the last 20 years anyway, because I have one. My V30 loaded cabinet is an old Randall that, and I've still got it here, and it's real thick birch. It's birch properly made 412. And that's what this one was. It was like, and when it showed up, I was like, oh, nice. You know, James was like, do you mind if I take the Marshall? And I was like, no, go ahead. I'll take that Randall any day of the week over your run of the mill sort of 1960, you know, 75 watt Celestion equipped cab, you know, because they've got V30s and they sound good. So, yeah. So anyways, the point being, the sound I got at the gig in Malta was great with the you know, the Seymour Duncan driving that cabinet on stage and just my quad cortex, and it sounded really good. It was cool, man. Yeah. So what else have we got here? Let's see. Please tell me you'll be playing Bohemian Rhapsody in the set for Classic Rock Show. I can't promise. We've done it the only 2 tours I've done. They might want to switch it out for something else. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but maybe, you know, or maybe some of them. Maybe it gets, you know, it's always a fun song to play. I do feel like I've played it a lot in the last few years. So, anyways, yeah. So, what else we got here? I have a couple of Randall XL cabs. Serious business. They really are. They were good. They were really good 412s, man. Really solid 412s that they made. That I love the sound of mine. I still have it. I kept it because it's a great V30 kind of modern cabinet that's real good birch and kind of heavy and sounds really great. So, yeah. So. What else we got here? Let's see. Marty says he uses an acoustic guitar IR in his Helix that turns any piezo, however you want to say it, signal into something useful. It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Helix is a good box for acoustic, actually, because then you can put an EQ and a compressor and you can kind of preamp it and do different things, mix in the IR at any level you want with the mix control. And I find it's sometimes, you know, you don't need to put it at 100%. If you put it at like 80% or 60, and then EQ a little bit, it's like, oh, that sounds really good, you know. So very cool. Steve says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how disappointed are you with the new King's X album? You know, I'm not disappointed with it. Although I've only heard the first 3 songs still, because I was waiting to get back here to listen to it. I didn't want to really listen to it like on my phone or on, you know, I wanted to sit here with my only good listening system, really, unfortunately, is my monitors here in the studio. So I wanted to sit here and listen to it. So I still haven't listened to the whole thing, but All God's Children, the 3rd track that I've heard the 3 songs they released initially. That song is awesome, I think. I don't know. I listened to it a few times. I loved it, but you're not happy with it? I don't know. I really liked it. That song, I think, he plays a ripping solo on it too. I don't know. What don't you like about it? Tell us. Have you ever? You guys are asking about G&L. Have you ever played a G&L? A little bit. Only kind of at NAMM and stuff because I actually never used to see them in stores that much. So, but I've picked them up and played them, and they seem pretty cool. From what I can tell, like nice guitars. They don't get a ton of love for people playing them, do they? But they seem like really quality instruments. Maybe back 20 years ago, more people were using them. Yeah, Rob says Class D amps aren't particularly musical. The Matrix sounds better. I have the 1000. I would agree with that. Most of it. I think Class D can be massaged to sound musical. Like at least on the Duncan, they give you that little EQ, and then you can kind of carve it out a bit. It's like, oh, that sounds better. Mine, I found that it actually sounded a little woofy. And so on the EQ, I was backing down bass just like about 10% or something. It was like, oh, that's better. That's more in focus. Like But yeah, they don't sound exactly like a Matrix or something, which just sounds great, and it's not exactly the same as playing through a full tube rig, but it's pretty damn good, So El Nuevo Hombre del Renacimiento. What's up, man? How are you? Costa Rica here. What's happening? Pura Vida, my friend. I love that place. I've been there for years. Would love to come back someday. There's a super chat I got to get to there. Let's see. Why don't I go down to the bottom and just grab it while I'm talking about it. Ben Coombs need the recommendation for a stereo in, stereo out, stereo chorus pedal, and he doesn't like my recommendation of the tri-stereo chorus rack unit. He needs a recommendation for stereo in, stereo out, stereo chorus. Well, probably Nunaber, or they make a beautiful one. The Tricera, is that what it's called, from Eventide, is wonderful. The green one, really, really good. Micro pitch, if that does what you want. The Eventide is for sure stereo in, stereo out. I don't think you really need to look further. It sounds amazing. But what else is stereo in, stereo out? I would say look at Nunaber or right, guys. I mean, they make a great mod pedal, or the green Eventide Tricera chorus. It's a tri-chorus and sounds killer. You will be happy, I think. Really like the Boss Waza stuff too. It's not stereo. It might be stereo in. I can't remember, but the Boss Waza chorus is really great. What I think about Nash guitars, don't mind some of them that I see. I've had friends with them. I've never owned one. A little heavy on the Relicking. Doesn't quite look totally real to me, but good kind of basic super strats and tellies, my Sir Classic S arrived, and the WSL 130S went straight on it, bridge. Great for thanks for turning me on to them. Is that just the saddles that you got? Is that what they call those? I'm not 100% sure, but if so, that's awesome. I'm glad it's working out. Probably enhanced tuning stability, right? You guys are a little bit of G&L love going on here. That's cool. I have a 96 G&L Legacy and love it. I'll bring it to the Basingstoke show. Cool. Basingstoke. Love it. In the UK. Any reviews of the Gibson Beato double cut? I'm sure it's very nice. Congratulations to Rick for having a cool signature. It's a great color, and I like those double cutaway Les Paul specials. That's a really neat design, I think. So, and he's a hell of a guitar player. So, and a knowledgeable dude. We gotta give him props. What else are you guys talking about here? Let's see. Just call it a pizza pickup. Yeah, a pizza pickup. I know. Piazzo. Oh, is that what from an Italian? Really? Piazzo? Is that right? Preston Smith's music? I mean, if so, you will have taught me something that I've never properly had that figured out, that word. So Piazzo. Piazzo? Or Piazzo? Piazzo or Piazzo? Still don't know. Help me out. Yeah. Another vote for Randall Cabs here from Yon. Says that they sound great, but they're backbreakers. Yeah. Well, there's no free lunch, is there? As in piece of pie. Piazzo? Really, Lauren? Piazzo? That sounds weird. I'm never going to remember that. I'll have to ask you next week again. Come back next week and remind me. Paiezzo? Paiezzo? Really? That's how you say it? Wow. I wouldn't have guessed. Have you checked out any Sire guitars? No, what's that all about? Don't know anything about those. Is the bass Waza chorus different than the original CH1 Super chorus? I don't know that. I'm not really sure about that. I've only tried I think it's just the regular one. But, you know, the regular Waza sounds great, as well as the Dimension. I love that pedal, too. I've never really known does anybody out there know what the difference between a Dimension is? A Dimension and a Waza? I'm not 100% sure, like, obviously the switches, you know, it's just the switches, but what was the difference in the chorus as far as the type of, you know, was it just detune or something in a Dimension? I'm not sure. It, you know, it just sounds like variety of simple chorus to me, you know, but it's a classic sound. I love those. Speaking of which, I'd like to just to offer a little, I've been, well, it's not somber, I guess, this show, but there's a couple heavy things that I've talked about so far. But man, I'm just really, really, really saddened by the fact that a great guy, this fellow Jeff Singlet from Boss Roland, I heard yesterday that he passed away, and I'm just really, really sad about that. He was a great guy, and I was shocked. So anyway, that was a recent thing, and just condolences to, you know, anybody that knew him, friends and family. He was such a sweet guy. You know, would come by here, and I made a lot of videos for Boss over the years. So say when I did the one for the Space Echo, you know, he would be the one. He would literally come here and hand it to me. You know, I've got one right there in the drawer that he handed to me. The Boss synth guitar, you know, that I did recently, things like that. He would always usually personally drop by and bring things as opposed to sending them. So I would see him quite a bit, and I saw him at Sweetwater most recently at Gearfest. So that's only a couple months ago. It was June. He's not with us anymore. So anyway, condolences to his friends and family. And you just never know, you know, he was a great guy. He was really well respected, I think, in the industry. Everybody liked him. And so, you know, rest in peace, my friend. You were a good dude. Okay. How about Friedman guitars? Have I ever played one? Yes, I play them all the time because Dave is a good pal of mine, and they're, you know, he's got a shop full of them. So when I'm in his little zone, there they are. Have I ever played one? I have. I mean, I even played one in a video once. I think I used one that I borrowed from him for a part because I needed some P90s, and it was like a 2 P90 telly situation, you know? So, you know, most of the guitars that they do are the sort of super Strat relic Charvel sort of variety, and Grover was even, you know, doing them for a long time. So, yeah. You just don't see me use. That's kind of, you know, gets into the same wheelhouse as the Sirs. So of course, you know, that's my endorsement, my signature. So, you know, there's not a lot of room there for, you know, crossover in my world. So I'm always playing Sir. But anyways, Eventide Tricera is tops. Yes, really, really nice chorus pedal. I agree. Better Cocoa Boost or SD1 type to boost a Marshall? Well, very different. Problems with my mouse again. Very, very different pedal. One's going to give you overdrive, and one's going to give you. Come on, man, work. One's going to give you overdrive, and one's going to give you just a targeted mid boost. The beauty of the Cocoa is that it's kind of like a more polite treble booster, so it's not as crazy gnarly and unpredictable as a treble booster can be in front of an amp. The Cocoa is going to play well with other pedals and all that. So, but it does a similar thing in that it either low mids or mid mids. You know, treble booster just treble and lops off lows. The Cocoa is going to kind of boost mids, and by nature not as much lows and stuff. And there's a bit of crossover in the sound. I find it just does a targeted boost kind of thing in the same way that a treble booster does, and tends to drive the amp into an overdrive that's feels very organic. Feels like part of the amp. Doesn't feel like a pedal when you play the Cocoa Boost. Not to me. It feels like part of the amp, like you've just boosted mids in the circuit of the amp, but in front of tubes that drive them harder and make it overdrive. It sounds like part of the amp. An SD1 is a classic sound. It's putting a layer of overdrive and a bass cut on top of an old Marshall, and it was a big part of, many people used them in the 80s, I think, boosting JCM 800s and stuff. 800 could be a little flubby and anemic, and it would tame that in the same way a screamer would, but it had a slightly more, I don't know if it's cutting or raspy or something sound than a screamer that was more hard rock to me. People use screamers more for that now, I think, than they did. I don't remember a lot of people using tube screamers in the 80s that were rock metal guys. It was mostly more like blues players and stuff like that. I don't remember a tube screamer paired with an 800 being a part of, the rig of, the guys of the day that were in, like guys that played with Ozzy or guys that, that kind of thing. So, but I do remember SD1s being used for that. I think like Vivian Campbell was an 800 and maybe an SD1. Did he use the SD1? Maybe with Dio. But guys like that, I think maybe Jake did. I think. I might be making some of this up, but I remember guys like that more using that combo. The OD or SD1, and a slightly different sound. Triceratops, isn't that a dinosaur? It is. Triceratops, though, is a chorus. Ooh, I'm feeling the jet lag right about now. Just kicking in, even though I'm drinking coffee, but I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying. Did I miss a super chat? I might have. I'm going to move down through the chat here. And see if yeah, there's one. Just got my Marshall 1980 2203 back from the shop. New switch. What would be a 212 speaker cab option for this amazing 100-watt amp? So you could use my cab with that. You want to use, powerful enough amplifier so that you're not in trouble with the speakers. Or powerful enough speaker cabinet. Sorry, there's the jet lag. I use G12H75 creambacks in my PT 100 cabinet, and that's a 100-watt amp, paired with 100 watts. Works just fine. You're not going to run into any trouble. Just great. So, you could use a PT 212, for instance. Barring that, if you're using a different kind of 212, you just want to make sure you've got at least a pair of V30s or a pair of, G12H75 creambacks, which are 75-watt speaker. The 150-watt redback would work as well. A powerful enough speaker that can handle that. So I'm a Celestion guy through and through. Have any of you guys tried these Fanes that are out there? 60-watt, 70-watt speakers. And they seem to be really cool. All the rage. People talk about them. I just never tried them, and I want to give them a go. Even though I'm a pretty tried and true Celestion guy, still I like trying other things. And these new Fanes, they look pretty interesting. If you haven't seen them, I almost ordered a pair a little while ago. I'm gonna look here and see what the model number is so that we can talk about this with a little more knowledge. So Fane guitar loudspeakers, there we go. Let's see if I can find here. They ain't cheap. F Ascension, are these them? The ones I was looking at? F70, 12-inch 70-watt ceramic magnet driver. Does that sound familiar? It's got a guitar player editor's pick. What's this? Oh, that's interesting. Here's one called the Ascension F25. Low wattage, 25-watt ceramic magnet guitar speaker. Emphasis on crunch and mid-range presence. That sounds like their greenback. Here's some Alnico-looking ones. The Ascension A60, Ascension A30. I need to go look at some more of these, but they just look kind of fun. Like I want to is it F70 and an N30, F30, 30-watt ceramic? They got a bigger range than I thought they did, actually. A whole bunch of speakers here to explore. Anyways, anybody ever try these and try them in your own cabinets? I want to give them a go and just see what they sound like. I'm just curious. We've got the speaker bug again, I guess, a little bit. Mookie Shoots has mentioned Jeff saying he was active in a lot of forums. I believe Gear Page and stuff. Yeah, he was quite active. So, yeah, that's true. Poor guy. Anyways, I just feel bad for, him and his family. He's a good dude, but I guess that could be any of us one of these days. That's the way it goes, right? It's really sad, but I wouldn't have thought, having seen him just a couple months ago, it's really sad. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking through all of your. You guys are talking about the Cocoa Boost. I'm talking about Jake's Boost pedal was an OD1, right? So OD1 is a very. It's probably, I guess, the most screamer-esque boss, but it's really lean in the low end, and that makes sense that he would have used that. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Good information here from you guys. Like I always learn. Adrian Smith and Tom Warrior from Celtic Frost use tube screamers. Adrian Smith, of course, from Maiden. Most others use the SD1 or OD, right? The precursor. September Fire says he placed a DiMarzio Fred in his Strat and really liking it. Switching over to Joe Satriani pickups and several other guitars. Cool. Awesome. Good stuff. Oh, that's a good point. Kirk Hammett did use the Screamer. Kirk Hammett lived for the Screamer. Metallica used a lot of Screamer on their first 2 records. There you go. I do remember that. He was a Screamer guy. Yep. I think I should sell my Eventide timeline and get the H9, or do you suggest a different delay? Running a boutique pedalboard. So the timeline is the old Eventide delay, right? The big one. You'll be able to get the same sounds in an H9, and it's in a smaller format. You just have to ask yourself, the only thing I would caution you about is, are you used to the form function of having the knobs right there? Because it's pretty cool having the knobs, right? That you can just adjust on the fly. It's not quite that easy. You could definitely get there with the sounds, I think, on the H9, but it's going to be smaller, but at the cost of it being a little more cumbersome. You're going to have to Bluetooth up the app sometimes to do things that you used to just be able to bend over and turn the knob, So that's the only thing to consider. Both nice pedals, really nice. If I sound a little tired, I am, because I'm jet lagged. So if I sound a little, I do feel like I woke up at 4:50 today, and then I never went back to sleep. Avatar Fane M65 is a good greenback type, but they aren't like the old Fanes. I know most of these would be kind of like new, newer stuff, maybe more Celestion oriented, really, right? Yeah. Celestion should come back with the 75 watt, 55 hertz blackbacks. I don't disagree. Interestingly, they did make a G12H Heritage 55 hertz speaker. A lot of Guitar Nerd was cut with that, actually, my first album, because I had one in a little 112 in a closet, and it was that Heritage, G12H 30 55 hertz, kind of the Hendrix speaker, really. And I just had it in a 112 because it would handle a little more power than a greenback, seemingly. But anyways, yeah, and then they discontinued that. But you're saying the blackback version of it, right? I don't know why they don't make a blackback 75 hertz. That's like, basically like a faithful recreation of that era of greenback. Kind of it was the speaker of the day, speaker du jour back when Eddie Van Halen was around, and I'm sort of that. It sounds like it's what you hear on my demos. I've got an old Marshall cab out there from 78 or 79 that has a quad of those old blackback 75 hertz G12Ms. Great. Love them. Love them. Manny's saying keep your timeline. Don't sell it for the H9. And, it's good. He's got both. So that's an educated opinion. Unless you really need to cut down on size or something, I would say, it's nice to have the knobs. I used to use that too. I had one. Remember, I used it with Don Henley and I had on my board for a while, the big Eventide delay. Yeah. Mark saying Fanes are great. Talk to Steve Fryatt or borrow one of his cabs loaded with custom Fanes. Yeah, that's what I was actually thinking, because I could probably do that and try them without buying some, and just see what they sound like. I'm just curious what they sound like. What's the difference between the PT100 cab and the Deep Sur 212 for the SL68? I'm not 100% sure if it's the same or not. Probably nothing if it's the same size cabinet. You'd have to ask them about the dimensions. I didn't know they make a Deep 212 that pairs with the SL68. Actually, I didn't even know that. So yeah, I always thought it was like a slightly different cabinet, a little bit more like the vintage Marshall's 212s, but maybe it is a deeper one. Maybe it's the same dimensions as mine. So Melon says, can't imagine playing a 100 watt head at full volume. You should just try it. It's fun. just go for it. Good times. It's basically like riding a wild horse, and you know, it sounds really, really, really loud. And at first you're like shocked, and then after 5 minutes you're like, sounds more normal now, and then your ears ring after. Yeah. Phew, man, I'm jet lagging right now. Woo, stick with me here. So you playing a reg Knaggs Steve Stevens? Yes. I do have one of those. Can you tell us about that guitar? I'll just show it to you. Steve said in the video we'll do Brian May tones and out of phase. Maybe that's a newer thing. I thought it was in here. I don't know what I did with it. Let me see if it's right here. If I've got it in the hallway. One sec. Pause for station identification. Here it is. My Knaggs. So I got this guitar many years ago. I mean, it's early 2015 or late 2014. Look at that thing. It's fun, man. It's a Stevens, you know, with his ray gun pickups on it. They're bare knuckles and sparkle red, obviously. And it's kind of my hot red Les Paul. I lost the truss rod cover for it. It's in here somewhere, but I just don't know where. I feel bad about that. I got to get one and get it put back on. But I still use this guitar quite a bit. I use it when I need a hot rod, you know, like 14K, because I think the pickups are pretty hot, 14, 15, 16K, something like that. I used it in the Dr. Feelgood amp video, the Mick Mars amp. It's quite heavy. It's a heavy, I mean, it's 10 and a half pounds for sure, this guitar. It's got that crazy perloid binding, you know, it's flashy. It looks great on stage. It's a good hot rod Les Paul. It's not my go-to for like Jimmy Page tones, but for hot, you know, you plug it in and it kicks the amp hard. It kicks its ass hard, or rather, it kicks it in the mouth hard. It's a great sound, and yeah, you can hear it in the Richard Fortis Mick Mars Amps in the Zone video, and it seems like the right guitar for that. Mick used to use JBs, I think, and you know, kind of hot pickups in it. I don't know if he would have played a Les Paul on that or if he would have played one of his Strats. It's definitely got the whammy bar at the beginning, you know, but Dr. Feelgood, you know. But on the main guitar riff, dun, 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 I played that, and it seemed right for the part. Really, really good guitar. He used to tour a lot with Nagabuchi back in 2015. It just looked really cool, flashy, fun. Oh, Steve's a great guy. I love Steve. I haven't seen him in a long time. I'd like to see him. I miss him. Stevens. Dave Murray used Distortion Plus. That's interesting. Not my favorite pedal, but when you used it right, it's kind of interesting, the whole Randy Rhoads thing with that. If you use it with the EQ, whoever did that article in Guitar World magazine on Randy and his setup sure did nail his sound really great. I made that Randy Rhoads video a little while ago, and I ended up using Super Overdrive, I think, in front of my SL68 to kind of get a Randy Rhoads thing going. I really like the sound I got. But after I did that, I tried the settings I saw in the Guitar World magazine article where they had settings for a MXR 10 band EQ with the Distortion Plus and the amp. And I tried it all and I set it up. And you turn on the Distortion Plus, it didn't sound good, really. And then I turned on the EQ set and it was like, oh my God, there it is. That really sounds like his sound now. So paired with an EQ, it worked well, I think. Yeah. Have you ever tried Lightwave optical pickups? Nope. That's not something I've tried. I have not. Didn't Metallica use rat pedals too? You know, I don't know anything about any of that. Maybe way back or something, but you know, they had a Jose that was, I think, a big part of the early stuff. I think. Was it? I think that amp, you know, way back, like it literally came through Friedman's shop, and I got to check it out and look at it quite closely. It was a cool Jose 100-watt modded Marshall. I thought that was what was going on like Ride the Lightning and stuff, but I could be wrong. Of course, then Mesa, you know, maybe much like John Sykes, you know, the distortion amps du jour were Mesa, Coliseums and whatever, and then modded Marshalls, and John used a Jose modded Marshall as well as, the Mesas. It's, I think Metallica too was kind of the thing on those, right? Ride the Lightning and Master and Justice for All and stuff, those different tones. Yeah. What's my favorite coffee? This one right now, because it's like what's keeping me going without like face planting into the desk from jet lag. No, my favorite coffee, I would say, lately, I had a really good one the other day. There's a place called Republic in Pasadena that is really good. And I'm not sure what beans they use, but you get a great cup of coffee there. Also, there's a place called Boy and the Bear. This is snobby ass coffee, but that's really good. And they're mostly like Columbia medium roast kind of, and they've got their own coffee. That's really nice stuff. I'm a little more a medium roast guy these days, which is like, the really dark. I used to like really dark kind of burny, and burned beans. And now it just tastes bad to me. It just tastes like burn. And I like them more, a little more sophisticated. I really like El Diablo dark roast from, that's what I'm drinking right now, actually, from Intelligentsia. That's good. They call it a dark roast. It's really a medium dark. It's not that dark. Friggin' good. So that's a good one that you can get at like a Whole Foods and stuff. Pretty easy to find. El Diablo from Intelligentsia. Yohan says OD1 is a little more scooped as the SD1. I hear it as more bass cut, actually. A couple super chats I've missed here, so I'm going to get to them. But yeah. Thanks for taking the question. Coffee's on me, Chris Dysart. Did I get your super chat? I hope so. I hope I didn't miss it. Was that the Knaggs question? Might have been. That Mick Mars Jose Marshall video is one of the coolest videos you've made. I love that video too. It was really fun, and I love that amp. That amp haunts me, man, because it did sound really good, and somebody bought it for like $45,000. It was insane sounding, really insane sounding. Yeah, I mean, my red Germino there can get pretty close because it's got the Jose mods to it, but it's still not quite the same. Still not quite the same. The amp had something special. Yeah. Arthur says my Knaggs Steve Stevens model will rip faces off. Yeah, it's a hot MIDI kind of like, it punches the amp for sure. It's a cool sound. Yeah. Does Petey, my dad used to call me that, or anyone in chat use ISO Petey or ISO speaker setups? Well, I've got a cabinet in the closet that is surrounded by soft stuff. That's what I do. It's got a plexi panel around it, but the panel is all lined on the inside with these Sorber baffles from Clear Sonic. So if you go to Clear Sonic, one word, they're the people that make the plexi that goes around Joe Bonamassa's cabs and stuff like that. They make a kind of a studio thing where you can get plexi like that'll surround a cabinet, but then you can also cover it with like some foam panels and line the inside with foam panels so it absorbs more. That's what I use around here. So it's not technically an ISO cabinet with like, it's not like one of those Grendells or like the Rivera where it, is a speaker in a box with a top that locks. But it does, I do isolate a cabinet and surround it with soft stuff, and I much prefer that to a ISO speaker in a box, because that always just ends up sounding like this to me. Here's my guitar sound, and then you open up the lid and it sounds like that, and then it's like, oh, that's normal. I close up the lid and this is through the monitors. In the room it sounds like this, and then you close the lid and then you open it up and it sounds like this, and then you close it up and it sounds like this. But through the microphone it sounds like this, and then it sounds like this when you close the lid to the microphone. God, I'm an idiot. What do you guys watch me? Is it really entertaining watching me make fun of, make a fool of myself? That's what I'm trying to say. Chris says, why would someone want more bass in a distortion pedal? Seems like I'm always cutting bass when driving every amp. Well, so bass in a distortion pedal is a different thing to me than bass in an overdrive pedal. Bass in an overdrive pedal will tend to flub up the front of an amp unless you're running the level really low coming out of the pedal. But bass in a distortion pedal, to me, a lot of pedals have, ample bass because, they're trying to sound like a big, metal amp or something. So if you're running a clean sound and then you turn on the pedal and it's distortion, and it's not kicking the front end of the amp really hard with bass. It's just saying a kind of a unity gain sort of thing. That's to me most distortion boxes, you know. So bass in a distortion is different than bass in overdrive. Now, bass in an overdrive, some overdrives do have a lot of bass, and it's not really my thing. But some make it work. I mean, to me, a Timmy or a Timmer, you know, those types of pedals, they don't lop off as much as like a Screamer or something. But they're a more kind of, it's a different sound, you know. Depends what you know. A soft clipping pedal with lots of bass generally isn't. It doesn't interest me that much because usually when I turn on an overdrive, I'm getting it to kick the front end of the amp. And a Klon has more bass than a Screamer, and that works somehow. But they still lop off bass, I think, right? You know, they're definitely fuller, you know, sounding than a Screamer. But that's part of the sound to me. I don't really play rhythm with a Klon on. You know, I turn it on for single note stuff, and they're just fat. Like then the single notes are really big. It's more like a saxophone low notes, you know, like when you hit an amp with a Klon style drive, than a Tube Screamer, which is a little more, you know, upper mid centric or mid centric, and then no bass. A different sound. Any advice to an original hard rock band starting out at this moment? Please elaborate. You know, my main thing would be don't follow any existing hard rock band too closely. That would be my main piece of advice. Like, so in other words, you know, my favorite hard rock bands, let's take Soundgarden, you know, they had really wide-ranging influences. Sure, they were into, you know, Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. And, you know, but Chris was also a fan of, you know, soul, and which is why his voice was so damn soulful. And he loved Elvis Costello, and you know, he liked a lot of different kinds of music, and that comes out in the music. And the fact that they were so diverse, even the way they looked was so diverse when you think about it. You know, you had Matt Cameron, who looked like a college kid, and then you had Kim with his own unique, you know, and you had Ben, who was like this towering kind of, you know, or I guess hero back in the day. But and then Chris, they were like a really, you know, they were a band with an identity, and each guy had an identity, which just makes great bands, you know. And they each brought in their interesting influences, and I think they kind of really respected that and nurtured it. The problem that I have with a lot of modern rock bands or young bands that play rock is they're like, we like Guns N' Roses, we like, you know, Motley Crue, and then they sound like a kind of not as good version of Guns N' Roses and Motley Crue or something, you know, because that's the only influences they bring in. But if it's like, you know, you got one guy in the band that's really into electronic music and stuff like that, but also likes to shred on guitar, and then you got another guy in the band that's super, you know, the drummer is like more like a, I don't know, like really into, you know, jazz or funk or something like that, but also likes metal or something. And then you've got, you know, like, you know what I mean? They bring those different influences in. When you think about any great band, that always happens, you know. There's a wide range of, you know, each guy's like a real character with a cool arty bent. And I would just say, like, listen to a lot of different kinds of music and then bring those in, whether it's country or, you know, you really like the Beatles, but you also love, you know, I don't know, Mastodon or whatever. You know, like, don't be afraid to mix it up and bring those, because then you're going to end up with a band with a really, really cool sound, you know, that's different. And that's part of like being, you know, the hard rock bands that always go far. I mean, I'll give you an example with Van Halen, right? You obviously had, you know, Eddie with blues and Eric Clapton and that stuff coming into it, but also his classical piano background that really kind of informed his writing. That just crept in there, and it was just part of his playing, right? That kind of virtuoso and practicing when he was young thing too. You had Roth, who had a lot of, you know, influences coming in. Really, like, he loved like Kool and the Gang, and he loved like stuff like that, I think. And I think Mean Street, this is, you know, something that I heard, that it was basically derived from trying to do something similar to What Is Hip. You know, the track What Is Hip, with that kind of, you know, go listen to it, right? And listen to the drum beat and listen to the groove, and you'll go, oh yeah, you know, when you're thinking about the kick drum in this is, you know, the kick drum in Mean Street is so cool because you got the guitar going, and the kick drum's going, right? So that's the listen to the kick drum. Nobody played a rock kick drum pattern like that, you know? And that's what made Van Halen untouchable, because nobody would do stuff like that before them or after them, really. That was the same. They had, sure, there was other really cool bands and stuff, but they had their own thing. What made Led Zeppelin so cool to me and funky and such a the groove so wide and everything was Bonham tapping into funk, you know, really, and James Brown, and you know, that's what evidently he loved, you know, that kind of drumming, and you can totally hear that. And that just in Sabbath, man, I mean, they were kind of jazzy, like at times, and like, you know, they just had these like in the early days of metal, people were turning up and getting loud, but their influences were coming from 10, 15 years, you know, from the 40s and the 50s, from their parents. There was no rock then. So they're inventing rock, but they, you know, you can't but help but like whatever their parents were listening to, vaudeville or swing or jazz or whatever they were hearing. And that stuff just kind of gets in your vocabulary, you know, and becomes a part of like, then how they interpreted this new music that they were making. It was rock, you know, but so louder, turned up, but like with these other influences. And then as we got further and further away from that, people just influenced by rock. It's like, it's not as interesting to me anymore, you know? So, okay, that was a really long answer, but I got some super chats to get to here. Chris says, why would someone want more? Oh, I did that already. Sorry. Already did this one already. Thank you very much, Chris, for the super chat there. And I'm going to move down and get to these other ones. Thanks for the great questions, you guys, because you're keeping me going here too in my jet lagged state. Super sticker from Vin. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Thank you for these. I'll get to all these super chats, I promise. To Sean, what's up? Hello, Pete. Choice between Fender American Pro 2 Strat or Gibson SG Standard. Not really into Strats. Want for sound variety. Current guitars include a Nashville Deluxe Telly, Les Paul Classic, Gretsch Tennessee Rose, and Epi Lucille. Well, I must say, you've kind of got with the Les Paul Classic and the Lucille, you've got that Gibson-y thing kind of covered. The SG is going to be a little different, you know, a little more narrow and MIDI, you know, for sure. And I love SGs. I love them, but you don't have a Strat. So I think maybe having a Strat for variety, you know, even though you don't like them, if you want variety and you'd like, yeah, I could use some single coil sounds. If you don't go for the SG, you kind of, the difference between the Les Paul and the SG is going to be so small compared to the difference between the sounds you can get out of a Strat and the Les Paul, or the Strat and the Epi, you know, that you've already got. So, but you know, if you're just not a Strat person, you're not, you know, and you might not be. It's the last time I saw Slash play a Strat. Never. So, you know, it might not be your thing. Ask yourself, is variety important or the guitar I'm most comfortable on? Just watch Van Halen live in New Haven, 86 on YouTube. That's a fun one. It's just so fun, right? You're like having fun on stage. Yeah, that video, they just look like they're on top of the world, man. And the solo is epic. The guitar solo is such a great Eddie in his pajama pants running around the stage having fun. I watched that so many times, you know, growing up. I loved it. Have you used a Kasha Quick Mod? I remember those. It's a foot switchable amp mod that plugs in an amps 12X7. I've never used that, but I've used, and I have a video on my channel for a signature. Sorry, it's a similar thing made by Legendary Tones. It's plugs into the cathode follower tube slot, the second tube of an old Marshall. And it does a similar thing, a gain boost, and that one's great. I think it's a little more refined than maybe the old Kasha Quick Mod. It's got some switches on it where you can fine tune. Watch the video on my channel for the Legendary Tones. Just put in Pete Thorn Legendary Tones 12AX7. It'll pop up and you'll see it. It's really nice, actually. I was quite impressed with how good it sounded, to be honest. I didn't think it was going to sound that great, but it was like, that's a good tone. So, not that I didn't think it was going to sound great, but it just, I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm just jaded or something. I was like, sounds really good, actually. Like I could use that sound easily. Really good. Yeah. Kim's an old friend of mine, says Chris. That's cool, man. Hey, I got great respect for him. Tell him Pete's Chris Cornell's solo band guitar player says hey, because I met him a couple times. He was always really nice to me. So if you speak to him, I've always wanted to talk with him, actually, like now after the fact and stuff. but I just didn't know him directly, you know. I do remember that when he came to a show, and I've told the story before, so I won't tell it and bore people that have heard it, but he came to a show. He was really sweet. I hung out with him there for a while. We chatted, really liked him. And then when Soundgarden reformed, I went to a number of shows, but I went to the one of the ones at the Wiltern in LA. So this would be years later, 4 years later. 4 years had gone by, and he was there at the Wiltern. And I went to a little after party afterwards, and he was there, and he said, "Hey, Pete, how you doing, man?" And I was like, "Oh, that's nice. He remembers me from 4 years ago. You know, how would he remember me from Adam? I'm not like, you know, wasn't anything close to a famous guitar player then. You know, I was just the hired guy. You know." And he really struck me as being a genuine, you know, pleasant guy. So, being at Cornell's, it's Tony Cornell's 18th birthday, I do believe. So. Happy birthday, Tony Cornell. You're all growing up. And I remember you when you were this big, running around the stage with your little headphones on. Cute little kid. She was cute. She had great big chubby cheeks. Cute. Cute. Now she's a great singer. John says, thoughts on a big all-in-one modulation box, the MD500, that's the Boss, H9, any other suggestions? I love the rotary in the H9. It's got the tri-chorus in it, so it sounds great too. It's terrific sounding. Friedman's a really big fan of the MD500. He really likes it. It's got, you know, Boss choruses and it's good, you know, and flanging and stuff. I gotta say, man, I love my Mobius. You know, it's one of my favorite pedals. Really usable phaser, flanger, the detune, good rotary. I think I might prefer the rotary in my H9, but I'm just fine with the Strymon rotary too. It sounds really good. I even love all the warped detune kind of stuff you can do with it. The lo-fi stuff with the filters, and then the kind of sounds like a warped record. It's really fun. Like, if you got a Mobius and you haven't messed around with the lo-fi stuff, do it. Like, turn on the filter and turn on a little bit of the record scratch noise and the warp. It sounds like you're playing like a, you know, from the 1930s, you know, 78, you know, RPM LP or 78 or whatever. I don't remember. I got up so tired. Sorry. But yeah, it's really fun to play through. And you write a certain kind of, you know, warped guitar part when you play through a sound like that. It's really cool. So Mobius is one of my favorites. That's the honest truth. Also, the new, I just did a video recently, and I'm not going to remember the name of it, but what's the purple pedal, the Strymon that they brought out recently, and it does chorus, flange, phase. It's a phase shifter mainly, but it also doubles as a chorus and a flanger, and a really good sounding one too. Very simple to use. Simple controls. Yeah. I wonder if there's any EVH songs hidden in the vault we might get to hear someday. I bet. I mean, there's a lot of tape up there, you know, with a lot of music. So it's just a matter of, you know, when they go through things and what they decide to do and stuff. I'm sure it'll happen at some point. You know, I've certainly heard things that he played me personally that I loved. You know, I've told those stories before too, so I won't bore you again. But he, you know, I was like, this is so cool. So, anyways. Yeah, there's another super chat. Happy Sunday from Ryan. Thanks, man, for the coffee fund. Appreciate that. You guys are too kind. Thank you guys for all the super chats, and I hope I'm somewhat interesting in providing you with good answers for some of your questions. Hello from Greece. Opinion for Moore Radar at the end of the Pedal Changer live stage with in-ear monitoring. It's a pretty good little box. I mean, it doesn't have a really long IR time, but as I demonstrated before, that's not 100%. Like, you don't, like, going beyond 21 milliseconds depends on the IR you're using, but it's not really necessary with a lot of them. You know, the difference in sound will be negligible. That said, I think it cuts off around 15 or 16, something like that. I'm not 100% sure. They could be a newer version than the one I tried, which was a number of years ago, well before I was in this room. So I'm just not sure, but pretty good little box, and it's tiny too. So, you know, not a bad thing at all. I did a video of it. If you want to watch it, you can see what you think. Why is the Les Paul headstock angled back so radically? Is there any usefulness to that? It just gives downward pressure on the nut, and it's part of the sound, I think, of, you know, having that kind of, Does the same thing a string tree would do, I guess, but maybe in a little bit more elegant, crafted sort of fashion. The pitch of it isn't really, it's not that severe, although it does, it does open up a can of worms. You've got to have then a really, really well cut nut. The fanning of the strings out as well as between that and then the pressure on the nut, you got to get the nut cut right. And it's the, number one source of tuning issues on a Les Paul for sure. So, or any Gibson really. But the usefulness is probably sort of a solid tone on the open strings, that you just wouldn't have if the headstock were straight. The strings would just bounce out of the nut, and you wouldn't have the sustain and quite the sound. You'd have to use a string tree or something, and it would be weird, So I think it's just part of the design. I mean, going back, to old acoustics and Martins and Gibsons and everything, they all have headstocks angled back for wait a second. So Gibsons do, right? I mean, they've got it some angle, right? And old Martins and stuff do too, right? Or am I making that up? What have I got in here for guitars right now? Well, here's a Gibson. Actually, I do happen to have, what the hell is this doing in here? Yeah, this is a I don't remember because I was using the case, so I pulled this guitar out of the case and I just put it there on my stand. I haven't played this guitar in a long time, but there you go. This is a Gibson Sheryl Crow model, great guitar, totally out of tune right now probably, but it's I really like this guitar. The old 60s country westerns, which is what this was based on, some of the greatest acoustics. I just love those old country westerns from the 60s. They're like a great big, bigger, boomier or something sounding J50 or something. They were just really, really, really cool guitars. But that's what this was based on. So this is the Sheryl Crow model because one of her favorite acoustics was an old country western. But yeah, you can see the headstock angled back just like a Les Paul, and that's the way they did them for ages back. That's just part of it's downward pressure on the nut. I think it's as simple as that, which is desirable. Or you'd have to put a bar across or something. Wouldn't be very nice. What do we got here? Hello, Pete. Victory VX50 Kraken. I don't know how to pronounce these names. I know. Release the Kraken. Release the Kraken. Release the Crook. I don't even know what that means because I'm an idiot and I only know about guitar stuff. So all these like this is the other one I had problems with recently. This one, right? Halcyon, right? I think I said Halcyon. I see. Maybe I'm dyslexic or something. I don't know. I see things and I can't pronounce them if it's not a typical English word like overdrive. Anyways, sorry. I digress. Torpedo 8-ohm goes to my ID4 Mark II. I use the Wall of Sound IR with your cabs pack. Thank you for getting that. Any tip on how to maximize the tone? Any of your presets I can download? Do I have presets? I can't even remember if I did presets for it or not. I like to blend two microphones. So generally it'll be a 57 or try the 441 in my pack because I'd love that microphone. And then blend it with the 4050. Try that. I love the 4050 as well. And I think we did a FET 47 as well. So you could try that in place of the 4050. Just experiment. Dynamic mic, condenser mic. Blend the two together. I usually set the distance at about just not 0. I set it at about 9 or 10, which is I imagine just backing back a little bit, and then I set the from the center of the speaker out just a little bit, so that'll also be at 10 or 15%. So it's kind of what I would imagine as the where the cap meets the cone of the speaker. So I turn both those controls up a little bit, and then I just blend to taste. Maybe add a little bit of the room reverb that's in there for a little bit of ambience. And you can get into the EQ if you want to too, and just tweak that if you want to cut a little highs off or whatever you want to do, But those settings are about what I use as far as the distance and the where the mic is positioned from the center of the speaker out to the edge. Okay. What else we got here? How do you run a delay unit like an H9 and effects loop of the PT100 line level or guitar pedal? PT100 you can do either. you could run it at pedal level, and then you can get in the thing on the, the Eventide app, and you can adjust the gain in there. It'll handle line level as long as you don't push the masters too hot. If you do choose to run it at line level, definitely go in and adjust for max headroom, because you're going to need it. Series or parallel. Once again, that's up to you. If you want to run it in kill dry mode, you can do that. And you might like it. If all you're doing is running delay and you just want some solo kind of delay, I would probably run it in parallel, to be honest. It's a pretty great sound. Keeps the, immediacy. For those that don't know, the series of the PT100 is an amazing effects loop. Then it's basically got a mini mix built in, which is gives you the ability to run, your dry signal never gets digitized. Basically, it's like we're always running straight through, but it's just taking a tap off that, running into the whatever pedal you've got hooked up, or rack unit, and then mixes that back in. You just have to set the effect 100% wet or for kill dry, or you'll get a phasing sound. So try setting, if all you're doing is delay and you just want some delay mixed in for solos and stuff, just try setting it at parallel line level. That's going to give you the best signal to noise. Crank up the, so you got all the headroom in the H9. Set it for kill dry. Enjoy. It'd be a great rich sound with just a little bit of delay mixed in. That's probably how I would do it. Now, if you get into like where you want to run rotary or tremolo or any other effects in the H9, now you can't really effectively use the parallel, because there's any kind of sound like a tremolo where you're not going to want to have, if you want to have hard tremolo, you can't have dry mixed in or it won't sound right. Rotary, really, it sort of needs to be, it doesn't have to be 100% wet, but it'll just be a more subtle sound. It might not work the way you want it to if you try and do rotary with the parallel feature enabled with, the pass through for the dry. So delay only, reverb only, no problem. Did I get all the super chats here? I think I probably did. Just a quick modulation box. God, you guys, I got to go do my taxes soon. I'm going to stick around for another while here. We'll go full 2 hours, but I always do my taxes late, so it's tax time for me. I always file extensions and stuff. I just got in the habit of doing that like 25 years ago, and I still do it. I just remembered right now, and I'm like, oh no, I have to do that today, and I'm tired with jet lag. It's like, this is not the way I want to spend my Sunday, but it'll be one day of hell. Get it over with, and then on with music tomorrow after taxes is over. What's the wildest conspiracy theory, Eddie? Conspiracy theory? I don't know any conspiracy theory Eddie stories. Thinking of pick up a used EVH 50 watt. Would the PT15 212 do it justice? Yeah, that'd probably sound great, actually. I would think. Be a really good pairing. Strymon doesn't convert your analog signal. The affected signal is mixed with the analog as per your mix level. I believe that's true. Yeah, they got a dry through path. Yeah. What's the cheapest guitar that you own? Cheapest guitar I own? Well, the Burroughs folks never asked for that acoustic that I made a video of a little while ago back, so I still have one of those here. I think those were $99 recently. It's kind of an amazing guitar for really cheap. I did a video of it. They sent me this guitar and I'm like, man, this is kind of a budget guitar, it feels like. And I was thinking it was like $300, $400. It's like, I don't really make videos of guitars like this. It's like, but it's a pretty good guitar, actually. It sounds okay, and I plugged it in. Oh, it's usable pickup, okay. And then I looked at the price. They're like $150, and like they were on recently for $99. And I was like, okay, I got to give it up. This is actually kind of a cool video for me to make. Everybody always thinks I'm the gear snob or whatever with gear. It's like, how about I do a video with a $100 guitar? See if I can get some sounds out of it. So that would be probably the cheapest guitar that's around here. Yeah, because sometimes people send me things to review and then they're like, you can keep it. That's the way it is, right? In this business. So, but anyways, so I have that in the other room. It's a good solid guitar, that I should pass on to if somebody's a young kid or something like that, I'll probably get it to them. That's starting out. Okay, what else we got here? What are your thoughts on angle amplifiers? don't know much about them, but like the Synergy preamp modules I've tried for them. You really like the Ritchie Blackmore signature, best master volumes on the market. So the ones I tried with it, the one that really stood out in my mind was the Savage. And I have it here, and it's a great sound for kind of like a metal sound that's different than Marshall, or got a real cool sound to it. And I've actually used it on some things when I wanted, that's recently I kind of went on a little quest for got the Soldano in here and stuff so that I could have some other high gain options, because really the only kind of modern high gainer I had was my own amp, the PT100, which is great. But occasionally, if you want to color a track with something slightly different, it's cool to have another option. So hence it's nice having those Synergy modules there, and having the Savage was one that I really thought out of all of them that sounded really, really great for a kind of an alternate high gain. Between that, the Soldano, and then the kind of Marshalls and the PT stuff that I have here now, I've got a nice assortment, I feel like, of metal distortion or hard rock kind of sounds. Have you seen Phil X's signature SG? You mean the one with the little guy in it in the pickup? He's a unique guy, and I love that he does things in his own Phil kind of way, and that he's a personality. That's great, and I feel like I admire that, and I really want to do more of that in my own. Like, I ride this line of like really enjoying playing as a sideman and playing other people's music sometimes, and playing like even the Van Halen thing and doing that, and picking up an Eddie guitar and doing that. But then I'm like, there's a part of me, I'm just being honest right now. It's a big part of me. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, like you've got 2 solo albums out, and you should do your own thing primarily. Especially I'm not 20, so it's like kind of like, it's like now or never. Let's do my thing, let's just be me. And so there's that. And I really feel like Phil, he's a few years older than I am, but I admire his with his guitars and his aesthetic and everything he does, and even the way he plays, the way he interprets other people's licks. There's always it's Phil, his high octane, high energy kind of personality and stuff. So I really like that about him. So I like the SG with his little touches, that he did. Even when he did the Van Halen SG with the stripes and everything, it's like, what if Van Halen had played an SG? Didn't put a Floyd on it, It's got the vibrola on it and everything. It's got all the stuff, but it's like a Phil X-sized Van Halen guitar, It's cool. So he's got a real personality like that. Pete is loved in Japan. That warms my heart. We appreciate it. Hey, man, I love Japan so much. Believe me. That is my home away from home. I would love it. I was talking about this with somebody last night, actually. Old friend of mine that I saw. Yeah. Oh, I just mentioned yesterday that I did this. I went to the in Pasadena. My home is in Pasadena. Of course, home of the legendary Van Halen, where they started out, and not but a couple miles from where I live. And they opened a new city park in Pasadena yesterday with a stage dedicated, named for Van Halen. So the Van Halen stage. Originally, they were going to call it the Eddie Van Halen stage, I think. And then I believe the family said, call it the Van Halen stage. We're from Pasadena, and they wanted to honor the whole. It was nice, the whole legacy of the band and stuff. So I went to that yesterday. And there was some, mixture of, city council people and the mayor, who was great, speaking, and different folks that were, kind of all dressed up and stuff, and then Van Halen fans, which was cool. It was nice, city park. I mean, it's great, it's not a big park. It's only about an acre, but there's a nice playground there and a dog walk and everything. Then this nice little stage where they can have concerts and stuff, and it's called the Van Halen stage. I don't think there will be like a lot of loud rock bands playing there, because it's right surrounded by urban apartments and stuff, but it'd be a great place for a little acoustic show or something, Anyway, so that was a nice thing yesterday that I went to. Oh, and they actually quoted me. If you would like to read it, they quoted me in the Pasadena. I'm going to find it here, and I'll put the link. Pasadena Star News. They were interviewing people there and asking them to offer their words of memories about Van Halen or things about Pasadena or the park, and I contributed that a little bit. So there it is. If you want to check it out, you can open it in another. I just put it in the chat there at the bottom. All right, that's interesting. first year Les Pauls did not slant back much. The strings popped off the nut and dealers went ballistic because guys wanted a refund. Gibson needed a quick fix with minimum redesign. That's interesting. I didn't realize the head. I knew the neck angle on the 52 and 53 Les Pauls is less than a, 56, 57, 58, 59, where they actually increased the pitch of the neck angled back from the body on the slightly later 50s Les Pauls. Gil Yaron, he thinks it sounds different actually, the neck angle, and he kind of likes that 53 thing a little bit too. So he just thinks it's different. So he actually made me a guitar that has the reduced pitch neck angle, and it's cool. So that's an interesting thing, but I didn't realize the headstock pitch had changed. That's a thing I didn't know. Very interesting. Okay. Have you ever used Waves Guitar 3.5? Good, bad, ugly. I've used Waves Guitar a little bit, but not that much. Sounded pretty cool. It had all the PRS amp models in there and stuff. And I thought back in the day when I tried it, which is probably going on 8 years ago now or something, that whatever version I tried, I thought it sounded good. Seemed like a pretty good guitar plugin. So I just haven't tried the latest version. So I'm sure it's only better. It's gotten better, right? So. Okay. What else we got here? Let's see. Looking through coffee's kicking in, says Dory. I'm feeling like a dragon right now. I hope I can get my taxes done, man. We will see. I might need a nap. That's all at some point today. Glad to see your silver HSS. Do you favor the garnet red? I think I do actually. Like my silver one's cool. It's right here. But I brought the red one to work today actually, and I love the red one. It sounds great actually. So it's really cool. Let's see what else we got here. Have you tried the EVH Wolfgang Standard Exotic? Really love how they look. Sorry, I didn't really elaborate on that. It's just something about the red one that I love, the way it's set up and the way it plays. The silver one's great too, and they're very, very close, almost exactly the same. But there's something about the red one that I just bond with, and maybe it's that it's red. I don't know, but my signature, my initial, my first version of my signature, the red one's my favorite too. I don't know what it is. It's just like, something about red, maybe. The Red Rocker. There's already one of those. Have you tried the EVH Wolfgang Standard Exotic? No. Dave Friedman had a sassafras one that's black. They make so many different versions now that I don't know which one exactly the Standard Exotic is, but the sassafras one is really kind of a neat, it's like a sort of matte black finish. Pretty cool. What did you think about do you think about the Charvel Limited SC1 Henrik Danhage? I hope I'm saying his name right. I met this fellow and we hung out at Danhage. Am I saying your last name right, Henrik? I hope so. We hung out at Guitar Summit. What a great guy. I love this guy. He was like super fun. Him and his significant other, we hung out and had breakfast one day, and they were just such sweet people, and they're like super funny. She was really, really fun and funny too, and he was great. So I really liked them a lot. It was great meeting him and hanging with him. And I played the guitar, and it was really cool. It's definitely they got that right. It's what for the 80s stuff, like you say. It's very, very cool. Fun guitar for sure, and all super relict and everything. You guys might know this guitar that we're talking about. It's like a white, kind of off-white beat looking Charvel with a single in the neck and a humbucker in the bridge. And he was just a great guy. So let's see. Phil's a real deal. Love him. You two need to be in the same band. I don't know if Phil and I could be in the same band. Although it might work actually, because we're so different, in kind of the same way maybe Yogi Lanich and I played well, I thought, in a band together because we're different. It might work well. But I sort of think, Phil's the kind of guy that is probably best in a band, if it's just him, one guitar thing, because he's a big personality, So, those GitCon videos are fun. They are fun. I love hanging with them and talking, and I liked jamming with them too. It was really fun, really fun. Let's see what else we got here. That is epic. I hope they have frequent shows at the Van Halen band shell. Yeah, I think they'll have some, fun concerts there and stuff during the, it's just kind of like I say, I think it's more geared towards, kind of mellower shows and stuff. There's not going to be a lot of rock bands playing out there, I don't think, but it's still very cool. There's a Van Halen stage, and there's also a nice Van Halen plaque that's right on the front of the Civic Center now, Pasadena Civic. They're being nicely represented there in Pasadena. I feel like, and it was cool to have the mayor kind of say, that they're an American success story, and I've brought that up often. They're a true, immigrant family that came from the Netherlands and moved to America and made it happen in a way that, which is, if you read what I said in the Pasadena Star News at the link that I put up there, I said, kind of, whatever I said about the embodiment of, folks moving to LA to make it with their crazy dreams, and that no one embodies that better than Van Halen. And what I meant was, really they're an American success story. They're seen as the quintessential kind of American hard rock band, but let's not forget that they're immigrants like me. I'm a proud immigrant to this country. And, we come to America with crazy dreams and fought hard to get to it, and that's about as American as it gets, I think. So here's to you, Van Halens. You guys killed it. You sure did. Came up from nothing and just made it happen out of thin air. I love it. What else we got here? Let's see. When you did the Van Halen show with Mitch and Daniel Spree, there was an LA Van Halen show I saw being organized at the same time. Did you hear about it? I thought it was one and the same. I didn't hear it, like a tribute or something. I didn't hear anything about that, I don't think. I mean, a lot of people kind of did things at the, the whiskey and different things, but not in particular. I didn't know about that. What do you think about the Charvel Limited? Oh, I already answered that. That was the Hendrix guitar. Do all the Wolfgang guitars have the same neck specs, Eddie specs? I think they changed a bit over the years, to be honest. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they got a little wider, and the fret size definitely changed, because the early ones, like I have an early Wolfgang right back there. You can see it, actually, the edge of it hanging right there. It's got a small kind of neck on it. It's quite small, narrow, and I feel like they got a little wider, and that has very tiny frets on it. And I'll probably actually get it refretted one of these days, because I wish it had 6100s on it. I would use it more, if it had the bigger frets, I feel like, or maybe 6105s, but 6100, I think. I'd like to have the big frets on it. I just like those better. So, it was nice to see you in Mannheim, and the concert in the evening was also top. If you would advise me which guitar is more versatile. Thank you, by the way. More versatile for your new signature model HSS or the old model. They're both quite versatile. I would say that the deal breaker is if you want a true neck single coil sound. The new one has that, if you want a neck humbucker sound, if you really use that sound a lot, then the old one. So which one's more important to you? I would say the old one does a pretty good tap neck. The single coil it's no slouch. It sounds pretty cool, but it's never going to be exactly, because the way that a humbucker is built and everything, with the bar magnet underneath, and whereas a true single coil, the pull pieces of the magnet, it's a different design, so it just has a different sound a little bit. So you have to ask yourself, do I want that true neck single coil, or do I want a true neck humbucker? Which is your preference? All the other sounds kind of, are a little more, the middle, the in-betweens, the, tapped two singles, two, it's a little less, of a thing. But I would say it's that neck pickup sound. You got to ask yourself, what's the most important thing to you? Thank you for the, Lawrence, for the sticker there. Appreciate that. You guys too kind. Oh, and there's Deshaun also with a super chat. You guys too kind with all these super chats. I appreciate it. Good choices for amp to DAW without real cabinet. 2 notes, Mesa, an attenuator. Sir Reactive Load is still my number one for it. Although I do use the 2 notes torpedo, because I have my signature package with them. So I'll use it, with my signature cab sometimes, and it works really well. My favorite out of all of them is still the Reactive Load. You've also got the aux. Got the Fryette power load. There's some different things that you can look at. all nice options. Just look at some of these. Just make sure it's a true reactive load. And, you know, yeah. Ben Tom says, smash the like now. Yes, please, everybody. Hit the like button. It'll spread the video far and wide, and we'll try and get it up to at least 9 or 10,000 views this week. I would like that. Okay. Lawrence says, it's all your fault for turning me on to the Discovery and the Unit 67. I had fun with the Discovery delay in Mannheim, actually, at the show. I used the tweak the time to get it to, you know, all that stuff, the fun stuff. Analog delay craziness. Yeah. What else we got here? Let's see. You ever play through one of those little metal box Gallien-Kruger amps? Yes. I kind of want one. They were 50 watts a side. You're talking about a 250 ml. They had a great sound in the same way a Rockman sounds cool. I mean, to me, it's a great sound. It's like some people might be like, oh, it's so dated. To me, it's a very cool, it's a moment in time, you know, in the same way that a JC 120 sounds cool, or, you know, these alternate guitar sounds, you know. I mean, even Iron Maiden used those things for a minute. You know, they had a cool sound, a little GK. Pretty neat. And they were powerful, man. They were this big, you know, you could carry it in like power Marshall cabinet with it, or play through the little 5-inch internal speakers, and it sounded cool for practice. I kind of want one. I wonder if they're like, okay, now you got me thinking. Let's see here. Can you get them? Somebody's going to go buy one out from under me right now. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, I'm talking about the 250. 250 ml, they were called. Oh, we're so geeky thinking about this. There it is. Ooh, not a bad price. Should I just get one? How about an Amps in the Zone GK 250 ml? Does that sound good? Kind of cool. Not like super expensive. Kind of cool. I pushed add to cart. Should I get it? You guys, you're not supposed to be costing me money. Damn it. Let's see here. What else we got here? RJ got himself a GK not too long ago. Did he? They're a one-trick pony. Get it. Should I get it? Really? You guys gonna make me buy this thing? Kind of fun. Sold by oh, don't make me buy this friggin' thing. Really? I don't want to buy it right now. Really? Ah, shit. Seriously? I can't believe I'm doing this. I think I'm actually going to do it. Where's my phone? Why are you guys making me do this? I don't want to do. I can't afford this right now. I've got. Shit. I bought it. Damn it. No. Ah. That's how I buy things, by the way. Not worth it, says Scott. Don't tell me that. Ah. Shit. I don't want it anymore. Oh, I already did it. Oh. Really? Okay. I guess I have to make a video with it now. If I make a video with it, and if the video gets a lot of views, it might pay for the amp, but it has to get a lot of views. You guys have to promise to share it, please. Please. Buyer's remorse. You can't not afford it. I guess I can always turn around and sell it because it was like pretty good price, I feel like. So, okay. GK Fund. Thank you. Okay, I'm totally making an Amps in the Zone with this thing, though, and I'll do a Marshall. I'll do the stereo Marshall thing with it and all that, and the whole 9 yards, because that's part of the cool thing about it. So, okay, for those that don't know what they were a little like lunchbox amp, this big, you know, and they were tiny. Let's find a photo of it. GK2. That's the fastest amp I've ever bought right now. Why did I do that? Still paying off flights from my last trip. Let's see. I'm gonna find a good photo here, and then you can see what it looks like. They were like this. It's like sits on it's a little desktop amp. They're tiny. And yeah, it has powered output. It's not a very good condition. It didn't even look. It's kind of beat up. Ooh, I hope it works. Luckily, I know a few amp techs that could probably fix it. If not, it's beat to shit, actually. Ooh, it's just really rough. This thing's been around. That's terrible. Why did I just do that? All right, whatever. Jet lag, Pete in shambles. Totally, a total mess. Oh, well, whatever. I see the one I was looking at just sold. Well, that was me. Yeah. Yeah. And I got to do my taxes. I'm going to owe money. It's like, why did I just do that for your new amp? You guys are too kind. Tell you what, somebody buy it from me. Thank you very much for the super chats. Resident says, I feel like I deserve some sort of commission. Will it chug? Will it do EVH? No, but it will do the kind of chorus. What was the song? Wasted Years, Iron Maiden sound. Remember that? I think that was a GK. They had a real sound to them, kind of not unlike a Rockman. I mean, they had a great stereo chorus in them, and they're just tiny. So, yeah, Alex Lifeson used one. That's right. Alex Lifeson liked his. We'll see. Scott says, I hope the speakers aren't toast. Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, me too. What if the question asker was the seller? Well, then I was successfully hoodwinked. Really good. Into a 412, it will sound amazeballs. Yeah, they actually do. They sound great into a Marshall. I've used one into, like, I used to play one in the mid 80s. That's why it's like a weird little, you kind of want to go back and get your like stuff that you had back. Like I sort of want to get a little Marshall Lead 100 MOSFET too, because that was my amp in high school. It's a JCM 800, basically 2210 or whatever, 2205, whatever, that in a solid state MOSFET amp, same circuit though. Yeah. So anyways, I was in a band with a guy who played a Lado. I haven't thought about Lado guitars forever, man. That's some old Canadian rock and roll stuff right there. That's crazy. So GK Fun from Germany. Thank you. I will make an Amps in the Zone video with it. You guys are too kind. I'll sell the amp to one of you guys if you want it after this, if it doesn't work out. But anyways, kind of funny. Let's see here. I'm going to tell Friedman right now. I just impulse bought a GK 250 ml on my show. Yeah, one of my preferred Iron Maiden songs. I know, I love that song, actually. Wasted Years. That was a cool song. Cool track. Yeah, you can make an IR with it and make some money back. That's true. Yeah, make an IR of the little cabinet. Happy new amp day. Thank you guys. Hey, if you guys keep sending me super chats, it'll be your amp. We'll all own it. We'll share it. Like, you got to send it to me for this weekend. Okay, we'll ship it around. Let's see. I can't believe I did that right now. God, that was so dumb. I can't buy a vintage HC30 top boost. What can I get to fill the box void? That's tough, man, but I am going to recommend this one. This really is great. And I got this amp for a song. It was, not expensive. It was $1,300 I paid for it, which to me, for a hand wired American built, great AC30, basically, with some modern features, but we'll pretty much nail it's a really, really good AC30 is what it is. So look for an old Top Hat King Royale. That's my suggestion, and see if you can get a good price on one. Terrific amp for the dough. Yeah, I miss my MOSFET, Marshall. You had one too, Ben. Really? You had the Lead 100 MOSFET? It was good, right? I mean, I played a lot. I played gigs on that thing in high school. It was pretty cool. Lunchbox amps are the new thing, right? And now I've got one. Proud owner of one, I think, if it shows up and everything's cool. Kind of crazy. Yeah, that's how easy it is for me sometimes. If I think about, I was looking at High Watts this morning because I woke up because I'm jet lagged. So I was looking at DR 504s, a custom 50. And had I seen one of those, I might have bought that instead this morning. I was just, and I can't afford it right now. I've got other things to spend money on, so I can't believe I just did that. I'll sell something else. I'll sell something else. Yeah. Everyone chat is getting gas now. Your acquisition syndrome, I know, right? You just saw me go through it. It's like the whole like, dude, I bought it. Oh no, I don't want to buy it. Oh, but I bought it, and I'm kind of excited about it. But you know, I love buying things. I do. Don't we all? It's like it's a short-lived thing where you get that little rush of I actually did it. You know, and then you're like, what did I do that for? This fella, Lauren, let's see. Lauren says, buy a Syn 30 combo and a Morgan AC30 module. I think that's pretty good, Lauren, for sure. But I don't think the one thing about the Synergy is that you got the Class AB power amp thing. And to me, something about the Vox sound with the power amp and the EL84s and that whole thing, it's so part of the sound. So, yes, a Vox preamp kind of, part of the way there and all that. But if you really want an AC30, there's sort of no free lunch, I find. And that even goes down to open back 212 with the right speakers and stuff. You kind of have to go all the way and use the Alnico speakers. It's a very specific sound to me. Yeah. Vincent says you met Richie Kotzen last night. That's cool. You went to his gig on the, did you go, was he somewhere, because he's from out there, right? Where you saw me play recently, Vincent, out in Pennsylvania, right? That's where he grew up. Was it like a hometown gig or something? Pretty cool. Let's see here. What time we got? 1:28. Well, I'm going to keep going another 10, 12 minutes or so, guys, and I'll go get some lunch. I got to come back and do my taxes after that. So it's been a good show, though. It's been fun. Oh, actually, Bruce says he's going to see Maiden I didn't even know they were on tour tomorrow night in Salt Lake City. That's cool. Okay. Full circle there. Richie, Adrian Smith, they've got a new record out together too, right? So it's cool. They do their thing together too, with Richie's significant other, Julie, on bass and everything. It's awesome. Richie's a great guy. He was on this show a couple of years ago. It was super fun. Looking at the questions there. I've got a Bandit 65. Man, I remember those. Of course. I don't, you know an amp I quite liked from that era? Okay, a couple PVs, couple sleeper PVs. Classic 20. That's a ripper. Great sounding little amp. Not the same as a Classic 30. I got a Classic 30 and it wasn't that great. Classic 20. Really good sound. And Classic 50 was a good amp too. 30? And that's the one I ended up with. The 20 is terrific. The little 20. Great sounding little amp. Another PV, really quite good. The 90s Trans Tube Bandit. I'm going to say it. Pretty good sounding. Pretty good sounding. In the same way, Roland Blues Cube from the 90s was pretty good sounding, actually. At least my memory of it. Like, pretty good solid state amps. The Trans Tube Bandit, remember? Not bad. Usable. I'm no snob. Let's see. What else we got here? Can you get a great Les Paul sound from a souped up but slightly bigger body and a different carve to fit a Bigsby? It's a vintage V100MU. I don't know what that is. What's a V100MU? Who makes that guitar? Not sure. GK makes some of the smoothest sounding bass rigs in history. I used to use one of those great big GK bass heads with a Chris Squire model Rickenbacker and a cover band that I played bass in for a while. And I borrowed all that stuff. Wasn't my bass, wasn't my amp. And I played it through a 412 cab. It was a gnarly sounding bass rig. Very Lemmy or something, kind of like, But the GK actually sounded great. It was a 4-rack space. Wasn't that heavy as I remember, but it was a great big solid state GK bass head that my friend lent me. And it worked cool for that gig. It was fun. I had fun playing bass in the band. We just played rock songs, so it worked even through the 412. It was cool. What else have we got here? Let's see. Jerry Garcia used a 250 ml. Did he? I didn't know that. So we got Alex Lifeson, Iron Maiden, Jerry Garcia. Who else used a 250 ml? Those are the only ones I can remember right now. But yeah. I love GK. I have an orange bass amp, Crush 50, all good, solid amp, but GK would be for the win. You know, the GK plugin for UA, the 800 RB or whatever, 800. Anyway, whatever, 800. You know, the plug-in version of the classic bass amp is great. So sometimes, you know, you guys that use modelers probably find that you find your way to an amp. Like, for instance, the Savage in the Synergy was, you know, I brought it up earlier, one of my favorite Synergy modules, great sounding. You find your way to these amps through some of these modelers or things like the Synergy or whatever. So the 800 plug-in, that's a terrific sound for kind of clean bass, but ballsy, clean, clear, you know, really great, just bass tone, you know. I really enjoy that. So I like some stuff that GK's done for sure. But that's the, you know, Guns N' Roses, Duff McKagan. He's used that 800 his whole career, you know, GK bass amp. He's not an SVT guy. Plays a, you know, I think it was a Japanese made with a P and a J pickup, white P bass with the black neck through the 800. That was Appetite for Destruction, right? One of the biggest rock albums of all time. And then he's that's been his main bass and that amp, I think, for eons, you know, a lot of great stuff cut with that. Oh, Dave Gilmore, says Leo, used it. I don't remember that, but did he ever use it on anything? I wonder if he ever like used it live or on anything. That makes sense, you know. Richie Sambora has a GK 250 ml in the Dead or Alive video. Really? That's interesting. I never noticed that. That's cool. What are the differences in tone and feel between a tube amp and solid state? Generally speaking, solid state has a little bit more of a fast, you know, like the only other solid state amp I have here now is a Lab because of my love of Ty Tabor. So I have the Lab here, and when you play, it's got a you know, kind of a compressed fast sound to it. That's there's not a lot of give. It's just kind of what you put into it comes back, but it's a cool sound. He really likes solid state amps, Ty Tabor. You know, he's when he started using the orange amps, he uses an orange 200 watt solid state head, right? And you know, they were sending him the tube amps to try and stuff, and I think he wasn't bonding with any of them. And then they're like, well, the only other thing we got is a solid state head, and it's kind of a budget, you know, head that we make. And he's like, what? Send me that. And then he starts just using it. It's like his favorite one of the whole line. So but yeah, they're faster, you know, there's not a lot of give or sag or kind of that sweet, and maybe they're not as dynamic or something, you know, but might work for some things or for some people. Yeah. What else we got here? Let's see. I sold a Natural Ash PVT 60. God, I remember those. Not my favorite guitar, but I get that. If you got one and you liked it. I remember the T15 too, the kind of budget one. God, the necks were thin. Remember that? How small the neck were on the T60 and the T15? That is a very specific kind of certain thing kind of guitar. Who used those? Didn't Gatemouth Brown play one of those for a while? And there was like another, maybe like, not Albert Collins. Maybe Albert Collins. I just remember like their endorsers, like, and there was a couple people you used to see with the PV, the T60. You know, it was a unique looking guitar back in the day. PV, what an interesting company. You know, used to see the Mace amps and the Deuce and those the Renown. Anybody remember? I wanted a Renown so bad. Why? I don't know. Solid state, because it was going to be loud. I knew that it was 120 watts or something in solid state. It was like PV Renown. That seems like a good amp for me. Glad I never got one, but you know, amp of the day. The only thing we knew back then were what we saw in magazines and stuff, right? And then what showed up in your local store. And you know, being in Edmonton, where I grew up, I don't know what you guys were. There wasn't like a huge selection of, you know. I remember when Mother's Music got Jackson, and that was such a big deal when the Charvel Jackson showed up, because up till then it had just been Fender, Gibson, you know, were the only kind of Ibanez, I guess. But yeah, you didn't really see like, you know, the one store in town had Mesa. And other than that, it was Marshall, Trainer, Fender, you know, that's what you saw. So the amps of the day would be the early Rivera, you know, era Fenders, the Concert, you know, amps like that you would see. show up, and then Mesa, like Lilo's Music, which was such a weird little shop, but they had Mesa, so you could go in there, and that was cool. Oh, Laney's for a while. Once the mid 80s, I remember the AORs and stuff showed up. Seymour Duncan, I remember like those coming out. This was the time, these were the amps that were, yeah. Of course, Marshall, JCM 800s and stuff, but they just sort of seemed normal. That was like, oh, that's kind of boring. It's just a Marshall or whatever. I should have, had I known, And the 4-hole Marshalls were like, they'd come and use and stuff. And you're like, oh, that's useless. Way too loud. Can't, there's no overdrive in it. Had I known. And then I got hip to like, oh, modded. Oh, what is that even? Oh, use this one of those 4. Oh, okay. And I clearly remember a 4-hole Marshall showing up in Long and McQuaid. I remember it sitting on the floor in Long and McQuaid Music. It was a 7300 watt super lead. I remember. And I was like, how much is it? And they're like $300. Imagine getting a 73 hand wired 100 watter for, $300 now. But anyway, I was like trying to save money because I was like, I want to buy this. And I actually called Jose in LA. Like I found the Arco Electronics number and called him. I was like, if I buy this amp and send it to you, will you do some modifications to it? And he talked to me on the phone. I have this weird memory of speaking with him. It's crazy, I used to call people like from home, like these guys, I'd find their number. Andy Brower. I remember calling Andy Brower. Why? I don't know. Like I was 15 or something, but I just wanted to talk to them about amps. And Andy talked to me for a minute. Maybe when the Soldano came out or something. And, I can't remember. It's 87, 88. I remember calling him, and I remember calling Jose about the Marshall. Never got the Marshall. Never sent it to him. Imagine if I'd done $300 and I was able to actually put that together. I'd have like a 73 Marshall that Jose did in the 80s. That'd be so cool. Maybe even cooler if I'd left it stock, but no, it would be worth a lot now. I probably would have sold it in like 1992 or something. This is useless. Oh boy. Okay, to the bottom of the chat. It's 1:39. I gotta go soon. I'll hang around to 1:45, 6 minutes, and then I'll split. Worst amp I ever had was a Crate G60. Any Crate amp sound good? Maybe that Blue Marvel or Blue something Blue. I don't know. Was that okay? Did that make any good amps? Anything? I don't know. I think PV was big in country. Yeah, and they were big with the Southern rock guy, like Leonard Skinner used to use them and stuff. They had full PV backline. Yeah. What else we got here? Let's see. PV was huge in country. Yeah, they made loud, clean. They were one of the only companies that kind of made an amp dedicated to steel guitar, right? I think so. Loud, clean, kind of. Fender Tone Master. That came a little later. Those were 90s. Sinky designed the Tone Master. Debatable what you think about, but I thought it was pretty good sounding amp. I know it's Dave Grohl's amps to this day, and have been for like 20 years, are 2 PT100s, original custom audio version, and 2 Fender Tone Masters. That's what he uses. That's his rig. Doesn't really talk about it, or you don't see them. He doesn't really publicize it, but that's what he uses. Fender Tone Masters, custom audio, the original version of the PT100. True story. What else? I'm sure Dimebag used. Yes, Dimebag did play solid state amps. Dimebag played those original Randalls, and then he did different things. I think didn't he use the Furman or whatever, some kind of EQ, right, to preamp it? Was it the Furman PEQ or whatever? Didn't he use that? I think. Talking a lot of speculation today, but I think he used some kind of thing to EQ it and boost it and all that. What else we got here? Let's see. There's an EVH owned 250 ml in an auction starting at 4K. That's crazy. That's wild. Pete, just need a Steinberger to run through the GK and you'll be period. I would love a Steinberger, an original little guy. I would love one. I'll get one someday. They're cool. They're totally cool. They should make it again now. The headless. I mean, come on. It's like guys would totally, if they made that and then they did like a modern fan fret version and the whole, like, why don't they make that now? I mean, everybody's playing those damn headless guitars. Damn it. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the stream, says Junior. Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And thanks for watching me spend money like it's going out of style that I don't have. Marshall Studio 15. That's a cool little amp. 6v6, little 15-watt combo. Maybe sounds better than, or maybe sounds better in our memory than it actually sounds in person. I think, you know who got one of those recently was Michael, and I'm totally spacing on Michael's last name, Friedman's friend. God, I'm so sorry, dude. Nielsen. Great guy, great guitar player, makes nice videos. He got one recently and he did a video of it. I was kind of like, okay, because he gets great sound. So if he's miking it up and stuff, I knew it was like, okay, maybe it's not quite, you know, because I've often thought about buying a little Studio 15. But, you know, I need that like I need a hole in the head, just like I need that ML like I need a hole in the head. What am I thinking? But anyway, super chat there. Little tiny Marshall, the one that fits in your hand size, plugged into a PV Decade, makes a massive tone. You know what's funny? I'm going to show you something on that tip and on that note before I go. Here's one, the little Marshall Tube 1 watt. I bought one of these a while ago, a similar impulse buy. I've had this for years, but this is the little JTM 1. So it's like a JTM 45 1 watter. This sounds great. It's a really, really good sounding little amp. And this has a little attenuator circuit in it, probably just like a little, because it's 1 watt, so a little resistor. When you switch it into low power mode, it's basically protected, and then the output going to the speaker kind of almost becomes line level. So you can actually just take this and run it into like as long as that switch is in, you can take it, run it into like effects, and then drive a power amp with it. And this becomes a pretty badass little distortion box. You know, you could run into some effects, drive this up hot, and then go into another amp after some effects, and this becomes like a tube front end basically. There's a guy that does this, friend of mine, Thorn, in Europe. He played with like Glenn Hughes and stuff, and that was literally his rig, like that preamping. Pretty cool. You know, so that's which I love, because that's the kind of stuff that guitar players used to do, you know, that kind of making a tone out of something that, you know, not the way it was designed to be used. But maybe I should do a video like that, like running into that to run into, and then go into a plexi or something in the front end. We'll see how it sounds, you know. I don't know, try and get a sound a weird way or something. So anyway, it's good to be back. I'm kind of fired up about all this, like ideas like that, making an AC 30 amps in the zone video, things that I've been away for a while. You'll notice my YouTube output is not what it's been, and I was away, and so that was partially that, but it's also partially because I think I needed a little break through pandemic and stuff. I was making a lot of videos and doing a lot of stuff, and I just, you know, you get that burnout thing where you're just like, I don't know if I could sit in this room and make videos, you know, more. But I'm kind of excited about it now. I was away. I spent a bunch of time in France running around, eating a lot of galettes, and just, you know, drinking Aperol spritzes. True story. And, you know, just like whatever, having fun and stuff. And now I'm like, I had enough. I was like, okay, I got to go back to work. It's time now to go back to work. And so it feels good to be back here and stuff, and, you know, hanging with you guys. And so I'm happy to be back. Thanks for joining me. And I'll be here same time, same place next week. And for the next few months, I'm not really going anywhere. Maybe a couple little trips, but, you know, don't have any tours and stuff until next year, as far as I know. And so I'll be around. So it's great to be back, and great to be here is what I'm trying to say, and great to see you guys, and you know, just be back in the mix. I was also just going to say one more time, I've got the guitar auction on for I'm just going to find it here and put it in the chat really quick in case nobody's seen it, because it's a good cause. This is for a very special guitar that we're auctioning. Save Our Allies, fantastic humanitarian organization that is basically made up of volunteers, military veterans, folks that are medics, folks that are, just want to kind of go do the right thing. and they're overactive. They got their start actually in Afghanistan, helping evacuate at-risk people over there and getting them food, shelter, clothing, medical, all that kind of stuff that they need. And then they became active in Ukraine when the war started there, helping folks, women, children, people that needed help getting out of, a bad situation and war zones and stuff. So it's not a government thing. It's a independent, non-government organization. You can look them up, saveourallies.com. They're doing really good work. They're really nice people. I've met these folks personally. The woman that started the whole thing, and it's definitely a terrific organization. So we're auctioning this guitar that I used on tour with Chris Cornell, that Chris also played on tour in 2009. So there's some provenance to this guitar. It's a very nice custom Washburn acoustic guitar. And here is the link to the campaign. If you haven't seen it yet, I just put it in the chat. So please, I'll highlight it here on the screen as well. Please go check it out, because I think it's a really great cause. Rallyup.com there, soa.rallyup.com/UKR/campaign/details. You can go check it out and at least take a look at the guitar. Maybe share it if you want, if you feel like it's a good cause, if you want to get behind it. Literally helping out people. That's it. There's no political, there's no military aspect to it. There's none of that. There's ambulances, medicine, food, people helping other people get to safety, and spending their own life savings and money to go over there and do it and stuff, and just help people out. It's about helping people out. That's all it is, and save our allies. If nothing else, go read about them, because they're actually a really interesting group and what they're doing. It's a great work. So, okay, you guys, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Have a terrific week. And thanks for watching me impulse buy a 250 ml. I owe some of you a coffee for sending me super chats, and I feel guilty now, because you're like, here's, I mean, whatever. I'll send you the amp for the weekend. Like I say, it can be our amp if you want, why not? I'll use it a little bit. It might come in really handy for me around the house. I don't know, using it at home. I can put it on my little, put it on a bookshelf or something, plug in, play by the TV. I've got amps like that I already have, but maybe the vintage GK is cool. I hope so. Talked myself into it. Everybody have a terrific week. Love you all. I'll see you next Sunday, I hope. Take it easy.